So the last one before this was kind of like a Rapunzel, Mother Gothel-esque story. Of course, this was like before Tangled came out. This would have been based off like the original Rapunzel fairy tale, which is different than Disney's version. I think I mentioned that in this first video, that all these fairy tales are basically kind of based off the Brothers Grimm, and just like the old fairy tales with their own twist, of course, but it's like not related to Disney whatsoever. This book is like pretty old, like I feel like it's in like the late 90s, so it does like predate some of the Disney movies, also based on the same fairy tales. Anyway, the tale of the brother. I have never been content to be nothing but a girl, and so I cannot tell you my story without that of my brother. We were born on the same day. We shared our first breath. We grew up poor as tallow in a city you've never seen. The old people said if you stayed out all night, you'd be found dead of cold in the morning. Like the other children in the orphanage, we had no people of our own. We were all we had. My brother was not like other brothers. Oh, my throat. He showed me birds and beasts in the picture books and told me their names. He gave me his second best ice pick and showed me how to fish through a hole. Sometimes he stayed out so late he had to throw pebbles with his blue fingers till I woke and open the window for him to climb in. I loved my brother, but sometimes I used to dream that when I woke up, he would have been taken away without a trace. Oh, that's kind of fucked up. On that imagined morning, when I looked into the splinter of mirror above the hearth, I would see his face in place of mine. Snow would be impatient outside the window like a dancer flinging off her veils. The old people would call me by my brother's name, let me tie his skates on, and send me out to the river with all the other boys. On that day, nothing and no one would stop me from skimming through the swarm of snow bees. The day my brother was indeed taken away, I knew it was my fault for dreaming it. He'd already changed by then, or perhaps it was me. I couldn't be like him anymore. The old people kept me indoors now, ever since my chest had started to swell as if stung. My brother poked me and laughed at the new cold face. He pushed away the picture books and ran out to the square, skates slung over his shoulder. The reason I know what happened is that I followed him. I waited a while till the old people would have forgotten me, then I slid the latch. Fog came to meet me at the door. First I saw nothing, then the gray gauze shapes of houses. As I ran down the street, the buildings thickened till I could believe in them. A perfect white coin slid from behind the clouds, and I wondered to see the moon up so early in the sky, but then it brightened as if catching fire, and I knew it was the sun masked in fog. Perhaps it had been me who was skating through the square. It would have been me the woman took away with her. At first glance, squashed in bearskin, I must have looked like a boy or near enough. I was standing at the corner, trying to distinguish my brother in the swirl of skaters, when she drove by with the bells tinkling on her white sleigh. Slush splattered my boots. I was near enough to see her face, lean, knowledgeable, too cold to need beauty. I was not so far away that I couldn't glimpse my brother's tousled head buried in her ermine. I came that close. I didn't shout. I stood like a tree stump, rooted in dirty snow. The sleigh bells faded in the distance. That night I didn't sleep. Ice blossomed on the windows till they grew dark. The next morning my face in the mirror was the same as ever. The face of a girl, square with freckles like a spray of mud. When the old people asked me where my brother was gone, I said a woman in white furs took him away. They slapped me across the mouth and told me not to make up the stories. They said every boy comes home when he's good and hungry. When they asked me the same question a few days later, I said I didn't know. They didn't ask me again after that. I suppose they thought he had drowned in a hole in the river. They gave me some red shoes, nearly new, but they never spoke his name. I went down to the river with a net on a stick and caught a little fish. I left it on my brother's bed in case he came back, but the new boy moved into that bed that night had eaten it by morning. I lay awake after the others were asleep, listening for the faintest pebble, but nothing. Shook the window except snow and wind. I pulled a feather out of the old pillow and breathed on it to conjure up a bird that could carry me off, but it only grew damp. So I knew immediately when, he was taken away by the woman that this was gonna be, it's why can I not remember his name? The story that Frozen is based off of. Not Charles Dickens, right? I thought it was someone else, another writer. I can't think of it. And I can't remember what the original story was called. Although that one was a brother and a sister. Yeah. The brother, I think, always got taken away, and then the sister looked for him. I'm trying to remember how that story went. I shut my eyes, and was my brother riding along in the furs at the bottom of the sleigh in a hot sleep, dreaming only of dinner. Snow hissed under the runners. Crows screamed overhead. Wait. Okay, I thought I skipped something. Wolves complained in the nearby trees, but my brother lay curled up like a cat at the woman's feet. I woke up cursing words I didn't know I knew. Who was she? How dare she? Had she no brother of her own that she had to steal mine? My face was wet as if it started to thaw in the night. I put on my new scarlet shoes that my brother had never seen and set off to find him. I looked back 3 times, but no one followed. That day and the next I searched the city, a street at a time. I saw boys of all sorts, big and small, boys with skates and boys with clogs, boys on errands and boys out for mischief, boys who lent me their spinning tops and boys who pinched me and boys who didn't see me, but none of them was my brother. At night I hid in the stables besides the steaming straw. An old woman gave me a fishtail once, and a bread man let me have a stale loaf another day. When snow fell, I hunkered under the eaves of an inn, smelling the fire. Afterwards I couldn't tell the white streets apart, or whether I had searched them before. I was walking in circles so cold I couldn't remember my name. In my dreams, the sleigh went faster and faster till it was flying above the trees. It was not fur I was lying in, but feathers, the plumage of a swan big enough to fly to the edge of the world. While I was asleep, a thief tried to steal my shoes. I woke as she was unbuckling the second strap with nimble fingers. I seized her wrists and hit her on the nose like my brother taught me. She spat blood, red as sunset, over the straw-fleckled snow. She laughed and laughed. When I had fastened my shoes on again, I let the thief come into the straw beside me. She gave out plenty of heat for her size. Her tails were tall, but they warmed my ears. She showed me her knife and said how she could get any pair of shoes as she wanted. She told me how she'd never known any home but a stable, nor eaten a bite but what her fingers filched from her stall. How when she was grown she'd have a great house, a gleaming sleigh to carry her back and forth across the city. I told her about my brother, to stop her boasting because a brother was better than all those things that could be stolen. And then I remembered how I'd lost him. She asked me where he was, and hot tears ran down my face onto hers. In the morning she led me back to the great square. If they were here once, they'll be here again, she said. A thief is always drawn back like a leaf to a drain. She stole a hot pastry and broke a piece off for me before disappearing down a side street. All that day I waited, slamming my feet up and down to warm them. Sun was such a dazzle it hurt my eyes. Iced puddles winked at me as if they knew my business. I kept my eyes shut until I heard bells coming, but it was only some boys on a homemade sled. I called out to them to see if they remembered my brother, but they answered with a snowball. It missed. I stood still and kept my eyes shut till I thought they'd frozen over. Much later it was dark between the houses. My skates had grown into the ground, my mittens were stuck to my coat. I wouldn't go back to the stable tonight. I would stay there in the emptying square until I couldn't feel anything at all. statue for the city, more like a bear cub than an ice maiden, but still something worth pointing at. Sudden as thunder, the sleigh came round the corner. Before I saw her pale face, I knew it was the one. White fur and bells passing me, and with a lurch, I had thrown myself forward and grasped at the end of the sleigh. I was skidding through the streets, slush spraying me to the hips, dragging along like a feather. It seemed an hour before the sleigh made a sharp turn and I was thrown into a ditch. With stiff arms, I wiped the snow from my face. It was clean, tasting of nothing. I had never been into the country before. I got to my feet and peered after the sleigh. Bells hung fainter on the air. Darkness thickened between tall trees. I was lost. So as to keep moving as long as I could, I plodded down the road. I could feel nothing below the knees. I was like that beggar girl with wooden legs I saw in the market once. Only when I caught sight of my fingers hanging like slaughterhouse rags did I realize that I had lost my mittens. Just when the dark seemed to be wrapping me around, I was thinking of lying down in the snow. A light prickled its way through the trees. I was walking like a drunk by now. Sometimes the light disappeared, or I thought I was only imagining it. But at last the path turned the corner, and I with it, and there in front of me was the biggest house I had ever seen. A lantern hung at the door, shining on the empty sleigh. What I did next was not like the girl I had been. I climbed the steps, stiff-kneed. When my hands failed to make any sound at the door but a female pattering, I pulled off my shoes. Their black leather soaked almost black, and swung at the wood with their hard heels. One up, open up, I bellowed. Open up this minute, I have come for my brother. When she opened the door, I was distracted for a second by her face, wider than the fur of her collar. But then I remembered and flung my shoes at her feet. She stepped back. Take my red shoes, I shouted, but give me back my brother. That's funny. Like someone literally kidnapped your sibling, and like you're just gonna throw your shoes at them and be like, take that instead. There he was in the hall, peering round her skirt. His mouth was full of cake. His grin caught the light. Why him? I howled like a baby. Why him and not me? Her smile was gentler than I could ever have expected. She opened her arms as wide as they would go and said, come in, come in. After I'd eaten my fill, I asked, who are you, before you stole my brother? And she said, will I tell you my own story? It is a tale of a spinster. I mean, she's a big old house. She's rich. Where'd you get that money from, huh? Like, is it just from inheritance, or did you murder or marry and then murder somebody? Like, let's see. The tale of the spinster. Your face is no fortune. Oh. So elbow grease must be your dowry. That's what my mother always said to me. It was her best joke, one she liked to repeat to pass her by. That's rude. Once she caught me asleep when I should have been carding wool, and she pricked up my shame all over my face with the comb. I never idled again. What I needed ever after I worked for, or borrowed at interest, or did without. I am as rich now as I was once poor. And half as rich as I am lonely. If I have turned to theft at last, it is because I was once robbed of the best thing I had, and the worst of it all is that I deserved to lose it. But it all began with a boast. My mother's mouth was too big for her stomach. She could talk up a storm at the first drop of rain. My daughter can spin anything, she would bawl out the window at hesitant customers. Wool, cotton, hemp, flax, nothing is beyond her. Come this way to the widow's daughter, the best spinster in the city or any. Oh, knew she despised me. I saw her biting on her brass ring. I could count her rags by knots in the thread I showed her at the end of each day. Or rages, sorry. But the more I disappointed her, the more accustomed she jumped up at her window. All went well as long as she oversaw the spinning herself. Her hands spotted multitudes of sins and saw to them as quick as fleas. But with the passing of years, my mother's fingers began to curl. Her hands dragged themselves around the house like stiff spiders. After the smashing of the third milk jug, she resigned herself to sitting all day at the window. She stared at her traitor knuckles and arranged any buyer who went to any other door than ours. Oh my God. Inside her, she began to spin Gal into sickness. By the end of the year, it swelled as big as a baby. In her final fever, she took to screaming a single phrase over and over, as if they could hear her throughout the city. Shit into coal. My daughter can spin shit into coal. Like, why shit? Why is that? Why? I'm just gonna assume it's like the dementia or something. But her eyes followed me around the hearth. They hung on my slippery spinning wheel. On her last morning, my mother's hands reached out, scrabbling for her purchase. Not knowing what to give her, I put my hands in hers. She held on, her long nails scoring my palms. The clouds in her eyes parted. Her voice was the same. Daughter, she said, if I have trodden you underfoot, it was to wash out the dirt. If I have trampled you, it was to mesh your fibers into something useful. She tugged at the brass ring on her little finger until it came off. Edged with blood, she slid it onto mine. Work will be your mother, she whispered. It will lead you through dark days. It will clear you a level place to rest at last. I sat quite still for more than an hour, listening to my silence, feeling the air between my lips. Then I prized my mother's cold fingers off mine and stood up. Sympathy for my loss brought in twice as many orders. The room began to fill up with bales. Whenever I grew drowsy over the wheel, hypnotized by the spinning sunlight, my mother's ghostly croak startled my ear. Whenever I wanted to shut the door and hide away, my mother's foot wedged it open. Whenever I tried to refuse an order, my mother's hand closed around my throat. Flags mounted higher than my head on every side and sealed off the window. I sat like a prisoner and knew that I could never spin it all if I lived to be 100 years old. I began to look around for an assistant. Some were too slow, others too slapdash. This one was a chatterer, that one smelled sour. Finally, I heard of a young woman who had spinning all her life until her house had burnt down around her. If she was burnt into charcoal, I didn't care. Be she flat-footed from treading, stung-lipped from licking, swollen-thumbed from pressing the thread, I would take her. She was none of these things. She was small like a robin and slow in the head. Sentences seemed too much for her. I showed her my room, walled with glowing flax. She stood on one foot and slid, and said, in her halting way, that she was thinking of going back to the land of her birth. I gave her my most pleading smile and called her little sister. She seemed to like that name. How would she... take her pay? Cloth or plate or coin? She didn't seem to follow. Let me sit at a table, she asked, gladly. Eat from plate, drink from cup. I would feed her with my own hands if only she would spend my trouble away. She agreed to stay until the room was empty. I watched wide-eyed as she ate through the work, hour by hour, day by day. I sat at the window and called merrily to passing customers. I shared plate and cup with her every evening. The day little sister cleared the last corner, a new load arrived more than ever before. She chewed her lip and said she wanted to go back to the land of her birth. It's interesting where this is going. I put my hands together and begged. How could I reward her? Dresses or bracelets or milky pearls? She shook her head as if she didn't understand the words. Let me sleep in bed, she asked, willingly. Be sister truly, and you not ashamed. I would join my blood to hers for life if only she would spin me right away up again. She agreed to stay until the room was empty. My eyes rested on her as she cut through the work. Every day there was another shaft of light across the room. I sat at the window in my best dress and exchanged greetings with handsome merchants. I shared pillow and blanket with little sister every night. She snored, but not loud enough to keep me awake. The day she cleared the last corner, a huge load of flax threads clung in my hair as I looked at her. How could I make it up to her if she stayed? Would you take half my house, half my fortune, the ring off my finger? Oh. She shook her head so slowly it seemed as if she was searching for something in the corners of the room. Flesh of your flesh, she mumbled. What? Firstborn in my arms? My firstborn. I put my head back to laugh until she was welcome to a whole litter of my future offspring. If only she could spin me out of this mess. She agreed to stay. This is giving Rumpelstiltskin. What? I like this twist though. Until the room is empty, I asked, making sure. Stay, she repeated. Stay always. Aww. She said, have kids with me and I'll stay with you forever. Like, they're kind of cute or whatever. You should let her visit her family though, land of her birth. Like, sis, I don't know what she wants to go back for, but like, she can visit. Nothing could have made me happier. With little, she just called her little sister. That's kind of weird. With little sister at home, spinning up her magic, I could go out again, feel the sun pinking my face. I dressed even richer than I was and paid calls on fine ladies, dined with weavers, drank with money men. Not that I was idling. Everything I did was for the sake of business, each courtesy to a merchant, an arrow aimed true. In finding my vocation, I learned that my mother was right after all. Work was a rope on a ship in a rough water, a candle on a creaking staircase, a potato in a beggar's embers. It kept me sane and bright-eyed. It kept from dwelling on the past. It even kept me from remembering that I was a woman. Oh, which is the only clue I can give as to how I, so sensible, daughter to a far-seeing mother, found myself with a child. I'd have died before telling the merchant in question, turning up like a beggar at his door. I wouldn't have married even if I could have. I was a woman of business now, a woman of affairs, far too gone to make a good wife. I threw up my breakfast every day for a week. Little sister found me weeping into a pile of flax and knelt down beside me. We worked it all out. It would be winter by the time I grew fat, so I would wear a cloak that hid everything. I would tell the neighbors that my assistant had got herself a great belly, too dull in their wits to shout out for help, poor creature. I would boast in my kindness of keeping her on. We working women must stand by each other. Little sister could keep an eye on the baby while she span, the thread whirring smoothly under the bobbin. I should have known things wouldn't run that smoothly. Damn, so you want her to take care of the baby and spin? Girlie's working 2 full-time jobs. Jesus, like, give her a break. Ugh. Also, I'm like, who's the dad? I think that part just went over my head. They mentioned like a merchant or something. So I'm like, oh, she was having fun, I guess. Being a woman of affairs or business or whatever she said. I don't even know. I probably have to reread that part, to be honest. Let me see. Yeah, I don't feel like it. I don't think it's that important, to be honest. The night of my confinement, I lay gnawing at the sheets, squeezing little sister's hand whenever I needed to scream, so she would scream in her own voice for the neighbors to hear. It seemed to me in my delirium that my mother had tied my thighs together so the shame would split me apart. It felt like many days later when little sister lifted the bawling gout of flesh in her thread-scarred hands. I cut the cord myself. I was in such a hurry. I can't speak. He's all yours, I said, trying to laugh. She took him away to be christened. I pressed my face into the soiled sheet and thought of being dead. As soon as the bleeding had stopped, I returned to work. I flattered buyers, traded witticisms with weavers, made it my business to know the name of every merchant's wife in the city. I was thin again, fast to my feet, to be seen around town in every house but my own. Because the baby cried all day, all night. Little sister claimed he hated flax and made him sneeze. looking to see what was the matter with him. I mean, yeah. Taking care of like a newborn's literally like a full-time job. There's a reason people get maternity leave, and she's trying to work at the same time. It grew hotter. The threads smelt of him. I stayed out of their way as much as I could, but one afternoon, I came home to find little sister asleep over her wheel and the baby drooling into a fresh hank of wool. I picked it up and slapped him across the face. What the fuck? Why are we being abusive to babies and to children now? Oh my god. Little sister woke at the baby's first shriek but said nothing. I walked out the door and stayed away till the following evening. By the time I came back, everything seemed peaceful. Outside the door were stacks of butter-colored bobbins ready for collection. Inside was nothing at all. The room was absolutely empty. I ran faster than I ever had before, faster than my mother would have thought decent, faster than I thought I could. I caught up with them at last on the bridge just outside the city gates. Little sister had bound the baby into her dress. He was fast asleep against her flesh. Gasping for breath, I told her to give back what was mine. She looked at me in the eye like she never had before and said, "You promised, firstborn." I begged her for friendship, for sisterhood, to take all the gold I had but give me back my child. You want it back? I thought you didn't care. She curled her lip and said, "Your gold, not worth shit." I knelt down on the cold stone of the bridge and clung to her skirts. "Don't desert me, little sister. I'll be different." She looked at me with something like pity and said, "Don't know me." What? Never asked my name, didn't I? Never boy's name either, she said. Taking him away now so he'd know who. She waited till my eyes fell, then walked. My knees felt frozen to the ground. I looked at the slots in the parapet. The black river was sliding toward me, bringing who knew how many hard-working days, who knew which desires, which regrets. I mean, she's like rich now, huh? Because like, they span a lot of gold. Or, sorry, not gold, but they actually don't exactly know what, do they make clothes? Like, what are they, what do spinsters do? Like, I know they do something with, like, you know, I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. Are they making it so that it's something that you can make clothes with, or are they actually making, like, blankets and clothes and stuff? Like, I'm confused. Or is this, like, the step before that? I stumbled along the bridge, caught her sleeve, and asked, "Who were you before you became little sister?" And she said, "Tell you story, tale of cottage." The tale of the cottage. I once had a brother that mothers say were a pair of hands, one fast, one slow. I once had a father. He got lost in woods. I once had mother. Huntsman had wonderful beard. Let me and brother come too into woods with gun. Brother let me help a little house of branches still broke, and he pushed away. Things changed after we held broom behind our hut, and they jumped. Things went sour. Milk and churn all forgotten. Sky went far off, and leaves went shritch, shritch. Too cold for snow, say mother. But brother and me sleeping with chickens not annoy him. Aw, my roommate just sold her fish. She's been looking for someone to buy it for a while now, but R.I.P. he will be missed. But also, he needed to go, because winter break's coming up soon. Oh my god, where was I? Too cold for snow, say mother, but brother and me sleeping with chickens not annoy him. One night hit her harder, whap whap, so her voice went big into rafters. Woke chickens, say curse you. Then on no luck for huntmen means no meat for us. Brother say mother, eat your words. I see only nuts and old bread. She say sorry, sorry. She put last drops holy water on huntman gone. Still no luck. One night he come home snowed like pine. Next day lion smelly furs all day bellyache. Bang fist on wall, call angels witness, say How can we feed your children when we can't even feed ourselves? Moonrise, I holding chicken for worm. Hear him through wall. They talking small, not like whap whap. She say it's their home. He says what's a home with a bare table. Later, after sounds like running, I hear him say pick one. You can't feed two birds with a single stone. The little one's no earthly use, not right in the head. After mother crying gone quiet, like sleeping, I hold my head like apple shake. It first see what thick. Sound all right, never can tell. Morning huntsman, let us come to into woods for rabbit. Brother and me, I dance like apple dust. Trees come thicker around till no sky left. He tell brother, go look at snare. He sit me behind tree for game. Make little fire, give bread, say no sound, good girl. I suck bread soft and wait for them come back. Cold, sound like crows. Good girl, want home, cry. Lots hours later, fire gone small. Hear feet, think maybe lost father coming, with acorn teeth and ivy where eyes were. Try run, fall on root. Brother, it was whistling. I call out, don't cry, little nut. I found you. I'll bring you home. He say, twice as old and 10 times as clever. I put legs round waist and hold on. Hunt shine light, I feared. Stop at door, seem like dark inside. Brother say, home again, little hen. Hen lift latch, mother, cry, cry like happy. Huntsman anchored, say, why did you get yourself lost, you half-wit girl? He not remember game, no food on table. Mother face wet, salty. Night, they talking low again. Brother sleeping. I push noisy chicken away, put ear on wall. Huntsman say, you want to watch them starve, you want to wait till the cramps buckle them up. Mother cry, no, 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 like punched out. He soft voice now say, don't take on so, woman, don't fight fate. You can have more when times are good again. I think of having more food, more fire, more shoes till sleep. Morning, mother, not get up. I want into furs with. Huntsman say, woods again today. Walk lots hours where trees thickest. He makes small fire. Say, rest now like good children while I go deeper to chop wood for a while. Brother want to go with. Huntsman say, look after your sister or I'll beat the skin off you. We wait. Lots hours later, tree so thick, no light at all. Outside fire, sound like wolves. I cry so he come back, curl round me, warm fart, then no fire. He say, don't worry, half pint, I'll bring you home as soon as it gets light. Wake all covered snow, cold laughing, throw ball, brother. Home, 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 like song loud through snow. When brother wake face like old bread, say he can't find a way when all white. I say, follow me dance like snow home to mother. Snow thicker feels like no feet, no hands, no noses. Brother follow me, cry, try hide it. Get dark again, brother go up trees, see wide round, slither down, say, there's a little loaf, a light little loaf. We walk, walk, walk. When ground dip all dark again, I not cry, brother find light again. We see up close dazzled, I think morning. When we say cottage, I think dreaming. Windows shine like sugar walls, brown like gingerbread. Brother say home, not home. Then brother say come, I feared. I known wormy apples with shiny skin. I seen rotted teeth behind handsome beard. Brother go knock, knock. When door open, I think mother, then no. Young women say, what brought you here? No words from brother, no words from me, mother. Women say, stop here with me tonight and no harm will touch you. Bed so soft, I think hot snow. She wake me blowing on nose. I tell her walls gingerbread. She say, and the door is toffee, and the chimney is licorice, and the beds are chocolate. I not know words, laugh anyway. She make pancakes too, each me, her and brother. Her eyes red like crying, face smooth like gruel. We can stay if work. She know all that grow in wood. She know how to talk rabbits in a big cage and kitchen, so never starving. Brother chop logs, laugh like a grown man, ask kids get slap. She teach me rough dough for baking into shapes of woman tree star. Only bad nights, wrap round brother like bread before oven. Very quiet, say home like would get me there. One night brother gone out bed, I look sugar crystal window, no steps and moon, snow all swallowed up. Too feared to cry, then woman scream like mother, old nightmares say, get out of my bed. Brother fall on floor, say just for a warm, she hit something, brother say lonely. Morning woman wake me stroking my bonny red cheeks, what will we do? I look brother out axing wood, bake bread, say I, she laugh on days go by, snow shrinks to nothing. I dance like white flowers pushing through cold head first. Brother has hair chin instead of smile. Woman make him chop all trees dyed in winter till hands red like robins. I pick moldy seeds from gold, from good. One day we baking, brother walk in, call her name. I never heard, lift her skirt behind. Women no scream this time. Put skinning knife to chin, make drops of blood till I get in the rabbit cage. He laughing as she chain it. I laughing, I feared. He shake cage, hold fast. Night I cold, so woman let me in with her. Bake like she not hear brother shouting. I say he cold, she say not for long. I sleep warm between arms. Wake up understanding she go to skin him like rabbit. Slip in the kitchen heart, banging like churn. Brother sleep till I find key in drawer. Open chain, by hand over mouth. He climb out stretching. Come on, he whisper, you're safe with me, little nut. Not safe anywhere. He shake my head to wake it. Don't you understand? Now the snow is gone. I can find our way home to mother. No, I crying quiet. Home, not home, if mother, not mother. But you can't stay here. She's mad. She's got a knife. Take my chances, I say. He looked for long while, then nod. I gave him fresh baked loaf shaped like me. Tell him no come back with huntman gun. No come back ever. I watch him run through trees. Snow begin falling, covered tracks. I lean head and door to wait for woman to wake. Okay, so that one was very much giving Hansel and Gretel, which is really interesting. Snow melting round. Next morning I ask, who you before so angry? And she say, will I tell you my own story? It is a tale of skin. That one was definitely harder to understand with like the really broken English, but I also thought it was, I don't know, it was really cool. I wonder how difficult it was to like maybe write as a writer, because it's so different from the other chapters, so it's like not their writing style. I wonder if they like wrote it out in like their own tone and then went back later and like edited it to get it to that point, or if they kind of just put themselves in the headspace while they were writing it. I mean, they definitely made edits, of course. Who doesn't? You always have a rough draft. So let's see. I'm curious, how many chapters are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And we're on, is that 10? We're about to start 10. So let's see, we did 3. Yes, we did 3 in the first video, 3 in the second, 3 in this one, and there's 4 left. So the last video will be the rest of this, and that'll be 4 chapters just because there's 13. So it's, I mean, if it was 12 it'd be easier, more divisible. But that's okay. The last video will just be extra long, maybe, depending on how long the chapters are. So that's gonna be it for this video. One more left in this series, and then it's done. There's also one more left of Carmilla, which I'll probably that one will be finished first. So both of these books will be over soon, and then we can move on to another one. I'm thinking, I don't know, the Modern Prometheus, but you would probably know it as Frankenstein. That's a really long book though. That one might take a really long time to read, so let me know if you're interested in that or not. I also really want to read Wuthering Heights again. Might take a really long time though, because those aren't, like this is like a short story show you those books. Once I make a video on them, then you'll see them. I'll trace them. I'll show them to you. You know. So those will definitely be coming, but those won't be, you know, super long. Well, I don't know. The fairy poem book is part of the same collection as my Sylvia Plath one, so it'll probably be about as long as that one was. Florography one, I have no idea because it's mainly illustrations that I was planning on tracing for you. So for those of you who are fans of tracing, you have that